The candidates are in full campaign mode. How does a discerning Christian sort out the truth from the hype? This is the CitizenLink Report. I'm Stuart Shepard, along with our Senior Vice President and also the Executive Director of CitizenLink, Tom Minnery. Hi, Tom.
Hello, Stuart.
You may notice that someone else is doing Tom's voiceover this week. He's borrowed someone else's head, apparently.
And their head cold as well. This happens to me about once a year.
Yeah. You picked it up in Branson?
Somewhere in and out of air conditioning is where I started with it. So who knows where, but I'm blaming Branson.
All right. Well, we will talk as long as your voice hangs on. How's that for a deal? What's your take on where we are in the campaign right now?
Oh, I think we're at a critical time in the campaign, Stuart. It seems clear that the president's strategy is to bash away at Mitt Romney's background in the world of venture capitalism and try to portray him as someone who has found delight in sending jobs overseas. It's not true. But the question is for Romney. Do I just respond to that? And we saw a few days ago he did demand an apology when the Obama campaign made a ridiculous assertion that connected something Bain did with some illegality that may mean that a felony was committed. It's atrocious. Romney asked for an apology, didn't get it. But see, that's the issue. Do you respond to gutter level attacks like that, or do you take the high road and remind people of who you are, why you are running for president, what the country needs, what a leader should do, what a leader should stand for? I think that's the choice before Mitt Romney.
We have a very interesting vantage point. We're here in Colorado, which is, has been identified as one of the swing states, and apparently by both campaigns, because they're running millions of dollars of ads on television and radio and whatnot. And we're seeing probably what people in Ohio, Florida, and some of the other swing states are seeing with this barrage of ads. I want to give you a sense of, you've probably been reading stories and hearing stories about all that they're spending on ads early in the campaign. Here's a couple that ran in the same commercial break on a local TV station. First one here is from President Obama.
What a president believes matters. Mitt Romney's companies were pioneers in outsourcing U.S. jobs to low-wage countries. He supports tax breaks for companies that ship jobs overseas. President Obama believes in insourcing. He fought to save the U.S. auto industry and favors tax cuts for companies that bring jobs home. Outsourcing versus insourcing. It matters.
I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
And then an ad for fast food or something ran, and 30 seconds later, this ad from Mitt Romney's campaign ran.
I'm Mitt Romney, and I approve this message.
When a president doesn't tell the truth, how can we trust him to lead? The Obama outsourcing attacks, misleading, unfair, and untrue. There was no evidence that Mitt Romney shipped jobs overseas. Candidate Obama lied about Hillary Clinton.
So shame on you, Barack Obama.
But America expects more from a president. Obama's dishonest campaign, another reason America has lost confidence in Barack Obama.
We've lost confidence in Barack Obama. I could probably make some extra money doing these ads if we wanted to. What do we learn from this? I mean, it was fascinating to watch an ad and then the counter in the same break. But if you're a Christian, a conservative, trying to figure out who to vote for and what can we learn about the candidates, can you learn anything from these ads?
Well, the startling fact to me in that ad of Mitt Romney was the fact that they were able to quote the Washington Post as saying there was no truth in the material being presented by the president in his ads. That's significant when that newspaper debunks the president who the paper has supported. I think people have to wait and hear the higher road. As I just said, where's the challenger going to take the country? Because the incumbent certainly does not want to talk about where he has taken the country in the last 3.5 years, because it's not been successful.
So often in these campaigns, we get on this tear of campaign ads that get focused laser-like on one particular incident or one particular point and seem to, as you were pointing out, ignore all of these other things we really need to talk about the future of the country, how you're going to solve the problems we have. How do you get that information?
Well, it is difficult in the welter of the campaigns. I would say that people by now have gone to trusted websites and get information from people that have they believe have credibility, and that's a good thing. There is so much being written and broadcast about the campaign from commentators on various outlets, broadcast, cable, and online, that people ought to be able to find their way to something that they have trust in, and I'm sure most of our viewers have already done that. And I think they're fighting over very few voters in the middle. Most people already have made up their minds, and it's very close. And so the campaign ads may not be directed as you think they ought to be directed. They may not have as much fire in them, or too much fire, as per your own personal taste, but that's because the campaign is not trying to reach you. You probably already have made up your mind.
One particular incident that's lit up the blogs, which highlights a specific difference between the candidates, and that is their thoughts about the connection between government and business, and particularly successful businesses. Listen to these remarks that President Obama made last weekend.
If you've been successful, you didn't get there on your own. You didn't get there on your own. I'm always struck by people who think, well, it must be because I was just so smart. There are a lot of smart people out there. It must be because I worked harder than everybody else. Let me tell you something. There are a whole bunch of hard-working people out there. If you were successful, somebody along the line gave you some help. There was a great teacher somewhere in your life. Somebody helped to create this unbelievable American system that we have that allowed you to thrive. Somebody invested in roads and bridges. If you got a business, you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen. The internet didn't get invented on its own. Government research created the internet, so then all the companies could make money off the internet.
Well, as Ronald Reagan would say, there you go again, Mr. President. He's not defending his record. He's not telling people where he will take the country in a second term. What he's engaged in is class warfare, almost baiting the small business people who have made the country the backbone of what it has become. When he says, if you've got a business, you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen. Stuart, there are a whole lot of people who have mortgaged their houses, who have been knocked flat on their back several times trying to get something started that will take great resentment in that statement. Yeah. And at that point, the challenger, Mitt Romney's got to decide, do I respond down at that level, or do I lift up this whole debate, try to put it on a higher plane and talk about broader themes and real hope for the country? That's why I think this is at a critical turning point in the campaign.
The other interesting thing about that, he's obviously pandering to, trying to appeal to folks who are government unionized workers, because he talks about teachers, government employees, unionized, talks about roads and bridges built by often people who are paid by government contracts and who are unionized. He talks about the internet, which he failed to mention. It was actually created originally by the Defense Department. But the idea being that if it weren't for government, none of you would have any success. You've got to have government in order to succeed. What he seems to fail to remember is, where does government get the money that it uses to build the roads and the bridges and maintain the internet? It gets it from successful businesses and from workers all over the country.
And he, as I was reflecting on his speech there, he was failing to say something else. And the social scientists in our country have agreed. If you want to be successful in life, do three things: graduate from high school, work full-time, and get married before you have children. If you do that, your chances of being successful are good. None of those items was mentioned in Barack Obama's speech, although it's obvious in social science research that these elements are critical. These are the elements that obviously are biblical, that this organization stands for.
Now you have a chart here where you're wanting to show.
Well, I do. On this question of being successful and who pays taxes, I'm going to try not to make this very complicated. I want to refer I want to refer simply to the set of bar charts on the left and the set of bar charts on the right. And here's what I want to say about that. The green tallest chart on the left shows the taxes paid by the top 1% of of income earners in the country, 40%. Their income, 20%. So at the top 1% makes 20% of the income, pays 40% of the federal income taxes. At the other end, the bottom 50%. The bottom 50% makes 12% of the income and pays 3% of the taxes. So there is inequality there, but it seems to me it's going in the other direction, precisely in the opposite direction that the president intends. I don't know what is fair, but I just know that when the president says the rich should pay their fair share, well, already they're paying twice as much in taxes as they are making in income compared to the lower 50%, which has a completely different picture. So I think he's obliterating truth in his charges that the rich should pay their fair share.
I think for many of us, our idea of fair is less. That would be an improvement right away.
I would enjoy even having a reporter ask him a serious question about that, Mr. President. What is fair? How much is enough based on the figures in this chart?
Just one more quick difference between the two candidates to help you see this. Tom, we've often been told this election is not about the social issues. Shh, shh, shh. No more about the social issues. We need to talk about jobs and the economy and jobs and about jobs and the economy. But I want you to take a look. This is President Obama's official campaign YouTube site. Notice there that one of the highlighted areas is the fight for LGBT rights. He thinks the social issues are key to his reelection. He thinks LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, for those of you who don't know that acronym, because it's something the other side knows very commonly. Our folks often don't know that. He sees that as central to his reelection. I think the social issues are important.
Well, they are, particularly because those who represent that set of social issues, lesbian and gay people, have become major contributors to the Democrat Party. So that is why he is honoring them with that prominent place on his website.
All right. Well, thank you, Tom, and thanks for all of you who drop by here every week. We do appreciate hearing from you. We read every comment that comes in, and we can't respond to all of them, but we try to get to those that we can. You may always write to us at mail@citizenlink.com with your questions, your comments, your criticisms. We're open to all of that. We encourage you to pray for all of us, the voters of America, as we make this decision about who will lead this nation, both in the White House, but also in the House and the Senate, and all those state and local races we'll all be deciding on. Pray for us to have wisdom and clarity and discernment as we make decisions about which one best represents our values, including the social issues. And remember, stand tall and be heard.